Hello and welcome to CoderzColumn. My name is Solanki, and in today's video I will explain how to annotate Matplotlib charts. We'll be explaining it with simple examples in Jupyter Notebook. So without further ado, let's get started. As you can see on my screen, I already have a Jupyter Notebook open, and at the beginning of the notebook I have included a sample chart where few important points are annotated. So as you can see, there are different ways to annotate charts. We can include a simple text label above some point. We can include text label and arrow. We can include a line and so on. There are different ways to annotate charts. So in this video, we'll be covering 4 different types of annotation, which is text annotation, which are simple text label, then text and arrow annotations, which are simple arrows along with text. Then span annotations are if you want to show some span into your chart, let's say to some vertical or horizontal lines to show some range of values. And box annotations is like you want to color some area of the chart, so that's box annotation. So these are the four annotations that we'll be covering in our tutorial. So let's get started. First of all, I have imported a library Matplotlib, and I have printed the current version which is installed on my system. So this is the latest and stable version. So let's move on to our first annotation, which is text annotation. So over here, I have included a simple code that creates a very simple scatter chart with 4 points in it. And I have used the Pyplot API of Matplotlib to create this chart. So let me execute this cell and show you how this chart looks. So as you can see, this one is a very simple scatter chart with 4 points. Now I want to add a text annotation, or let's say text label above all these 4 points. So how can I do that? So Pyplot module has a function named text, which accepts x and y coordinates of where you want to include text. So first is x coordinate, which I will say 4 for our first point. Second is y coordinate, which I will set to 4 again for our first point. And then the third parameter is s, which is string, which we want to display. So in our case, it's, let's say I want to include a simple string saying 0.1. So let me execute this cell and show you how the text label looks in our chart. So it's that simple. We're using plt.text method, and then giving the coordinates as string, we can include text in our chart. So as you can see, now text is included in our chart. Oh yeah, but the text seems to be overriding our point. So there are ways to align text horizontally or vertically. So there is a parameter named ha, which accepts 3 different values, which is left, right, and center. So if I set it to left, then it will move it on the left side. And if I set it to center, let's say if I set it to center, then it will set the point in the center, the text in the center. Okay. And for vertical alignment, there are 3 different string values, which are top, bottom, and center. So in this case, I will set it to bottom, so my text moves little bit up. So let me do that and show you the result. So yeah, my text label moved little bit up, but it's still overriding my point, which is my Dodger blue color point. So how can I do that? So what I will do, I will just add a little bit of y-axis value to move it little bit up. Yeah, so as you can see, I was able to move it little bit up. Now I want to include a text on all the 4 points. So in order to do that, I will include a for loop. So how can I do that? So let's say for xy point in, I will zip all these 4 x and y values. So now this will loop through all our charts. Over here I can say x plus 0.5. And yeah, let me execute this cell and show you how it looks. So it included over 4 points only, 2 points only. So let me Okay, there is a mistake from my side. So instead of x plus 0.5, I am supposed to say y plus 0.5. So now we have labels on all the 4 points, but all of them are named point 1. I want to name the point 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I can do is that I can introduce enumerate function call over here. And over here, so let's say format I plus 1. So let me execute this now and show you the result. Now, as you can see, we have a text labels above all of our 4 points, which is point 1, 2, 3, and 4. So with this just one function called plt.text, we can include text labels in our chat, and we can include labels in any location. We need to specify coordinate of that location. So let's move on. Now let's modify some font properties. So now the default label looks quite small. So what I will do, let's modify some of the font properties like font size, colors, and so on. So how can I modify font properties? Well, there is a parameter named font dict which accepts dictionary. So I can call dictionary function, dict function, and over here I can say font size. Let's set it to some bigger size. Current for labels are quite small. So let me execute this now, and you can see the fonts are quite bigger. I can modify color as well. Let's set color to tomato. Okay. Apart from this, I can modify font weight as well. So how much dark or bold I want. So I will simply say bold. There are many different values. It can accept numeric values as well in 0 to 1000. You can set font weight to ultra light, light, and there are many different values which we can set. So I will set it to bold because I want text to be a little bit darker. So let me execute. Now the text looks, all the labels look a bit darker. And you can modify font style as well. So there are three different. Normal is by default. If you want italic, then you can set value to italic for font style. Yeah, now the text looks italics. And the last parameter is font family. So there are different font families which we can specify. So I will specify, let's say monospace, and see how it looks. Yeah, now the font family is monospace. So using font dict parameter, you can modify the font properties of labels in our chat. Font size, colors, font weight, font style, and font family. So let's move on. I will copy this code. Now over here we will explain how to include box around our text labels. Sometimes you want to include box as well around text labels. So there is a parameter named bbox which accepts dictionary just like font dict. Over here we can specify color, like let's say I want box. By default it will include rectangle or square box based on a text. And I will include color equal to lime, so background color will be lime. So let me execute this and show you how it looks. Now as you can see, it included the background box which is of lime color. If I want to decrease the opacity, then I can set alpha parameter as well. So now it has decreased the opacity a little bit. Now apart from this, this is the default bounding box. If you want to try different bounding box, then you can set box style parameter which accepts different string like square, circle, L arrow, and so on. So L arrow will be left arrow. So you can try many different values like round and so on. There is a sawtooth as well. So it will look like a sawtooth. All right. So it was that simple to include text labels above any points. You can include text label above any point or any bar or any line or so on. Now this was the one function provided by Pyplot API of Matplotlib to include text. There is a one more function which is commonly used, and that's function is annotate. Now, when you provide annotate function, the first parameter to it is this string. And horizontal alignment and vertical alignments are same. And in order to provide xy coordinate of text, you specify xy parameter and provide it tuple. So over here, I will specify x plus 0.5. And for specifying text properties, you can directly specify them. You don't need to call font dict parameter. Now you can directly specify font family, font size, and so on. And bbox again will be same as our text method function. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Yeah, so as you can see, this one is exactly same as our previous chart, but over here we have used annotate method instead of text method. So in case of annotate, first is string and then xy parameter for specifying coordinates of that string. Okay, so that was a text label annotations. Now let's move on to our second annotation type, which is text and arrow annotations. So text and arrow annotations are commonly used when you want to include some arrow in your chart to pointing to some particular location. So in order to add arrow, we generally use annotate method. So when you want to include only text labels or text annotations, you can end up using text function. But when you want to include arrow as well, then people generally use this annotate method. So how to include an arrow in our chart? So I will again use the same scatter plot which we use over here, but I will include a simple arrow which starts from here. It goes like this, pointing towards this point, and text will be at the end of the arrow. So we can do that using annotate method. Now for x and y, I need to specify the location, which will be 4 4 in our case, because we want to annotate this point. And the second coordinate that we need to specify is xy text. So this is a tuple of xy coordinate that we specify where we want to include our text. So in our case, as we are going to create an arrow, long arrow like this, let's include it somewhere over here, like 1 1, around 1 1. So I will say 1 1. Let's keep font size, font weight, and so on. Let's remove some of the parameter. And in order to include arrow, we need to specify arrow props parameter, which accepts dictionary. And over here, we can specify various properties to modify arrow. So let's say I want to include color. Let's say I want to include arrow of black color. Now over here, I will modify text as well. I will say 0.1. Yeah, so let me execute this cell and show you how it looks. As you can see, now I have a arrow in my chart, which is starting from the center of the point and going till the over here till text. So let's say that I want to start it a little bit out of this point. So there is a parameter name shrink, which is available inside of dictionary of arrow prop, and we can set it to value. We can set it to different value by the amount by which we want to decrease the arrow size from both the location, from start and end. So I want to decrease it by 0.1 from both start and end. So I have specified 0.1, and let's see if 0.1 is not working, then we will increase that. All right, now I think 0.1 has decreased the size of our arrow. It seems to have decreased more. So I can try 0.05 as well. Or let's say 0.08. Yeah, this one looks better. Now if you want to include bounding box or not, it's your choice. So yeah, so that was the first arrow annotation. Let's include for all the 4 points. So for point 2, this is our second point. So its x-axis is 4, y-axis is 7. And let's say 1 and y-axis will be 7. Not this one over here, 4 7 and then 1 7. Our third point is this one, which is x7 and y7. So I will include point some text somewhere over here. Let's say 10 10. So this is our third point. For our fourth point, which is this one, which is x is 7 and y is 4. So x text will start somewhere over here. So x value will be 10 and y value will be 1. So let me execute this one and show you how it looks. Now as you can see, we have 4 different arrows in our chart. For y point, let me change this 7 to 10 for our second point. Yeah, so now as you can see, you can change the coordinate as you want based on your requirement. So there are a few parameters to modify the width of this arrow. So we can specify width, let's say current width for our first arrow. Let's modify current width and set it to 0.5 so it accepts float values. See how it looks. Now it has become a inner arrow, but the arrow end is still quite big. So how can we modify that? So there are two parameters, name head width, which we can set to, let's say 5. Let's try some value 5. And then head width, let's try 5 for it as well. Head width and head length actually. So let me execute this and show you how the end of the arrow is modified. Now as you can see, now the arrow head is according to the the arrow width. Yeah, so you can modify arrow look, width and so on using these parameters provided to arrow props. Now by default, arrow props creates a simple arrow which you can see, which are straight arrow. But if you want to include different kinds of arrow like curved arrows or so on, so that we are going to include in our separate tutorial. In this tutorial we have included these simple arrows, and at the end of the tutorial I will point to one of our tutorial where I have discussed in detail how to include that curved arrows or different size of different types of arrow. They are commonly referred to as fancy arrow. So if you want to learn right now, I will point you at the end of the tutorial so you can read that article as well. So yeah, so it was that easy to include text and arrow annotation. So let's move on to our third annotation, which is span annotation. Now in order to explain span annotation, I have loaded a simple dataset, simple OHLC dataset of Apple stock, which I have downloaded from Yahoo Finance. So let me execute this. As you can see, this dataset has open, high, low and close prices of Apple stock from 2019 to 2020. It's from 2019 0405 to 2020 031 around till the end of the March. So we'll be using this dataset for explaining span annotation. So over here, I have created a simple chart which shows the close prices of this Apple stock. So as you can see, this is a simple line chart. Now span annotation is when you want to highlight some span in your area, some span in your chart using some vertical lines or horizontal lines. So let's say that I want to highlight this area from over here. Let's say I want to include one line over here and one line over here, vertical, two vertical lines to show the rise of Apple stock. So it's starting from here, it's rising till here, then it's falling. So how can I include a vertical lines? So in order to include vertical lines, there is a function named vlines, and it accepts 3 parameters, which is x-axis location, and then y1 parameter, which is from where it should start on y-axis, and y2 parameter, where the line should end. So let's include our first line, which I want to start from here, which let's say 2019-08. So I have imported date from datetime module. So I can specify exact location using date. So I specified 2019 8 1, and it should start from 150, which is over here, because I want to include the line which is going all the way from bottom to top, and y2 will be 350. So let me execute this one and see how our line looks. Sorry, there is a parameter named y mean and y max, not y1 and y2. So let me modify code. Right, and there you go. Here we have our line. Let me move it by few days and see. Yeah, now this one is better. So this is our first line. Let's include second line as well, which I want to include somewhere over here. Which, let's say 2020 27. Let's try 2020-7. Let me try 215. I think I should put 3-1, then it will. All right, now I think this one is better. So this, we can represent this span to say that from here the Apple stock prices started to rise and then it fell. And now if you want to modify the look of these two lines, so let's say that I want to modify color, then I can modify color using color parameter. Let's set it to Dodger blue. For second one, let's set it to color. Let's use orange. You can specify line width using line width parameter. Let me make bit bolder lines. Line width for second one also I will set to 5.0. You can also specify line style using line style parameter, which accepts various strings like dash, dotted, and so on. So I will say let's use line style dashed. And yeah, let me execute this and show you how our modified chart looks. So now the span looks quite better with this modified line style. You can also include label. Let's say I say label rise. If you want to include these lines in legend, so now once I have specified labels, if I call legend function to include legends, set location equal to best, and it will include this line as in legend as well, along with our close main line. So this was a way to include a vertical span. Now what if you want to include a horizontal span, which is horizontal lines like this? So let's go ahead and do that. So we can do that using a function named hlines to create horizontal lines. Over here we will specify y value first. So for first I will, let's say I want to include a line over here around 330. So I will say 330. Then I need to specify x mean and x max parameters, which will be date in our case. So let's use 2019 3-1. So I will use this x limit values only for specifying the x mean and x max. 20 over here date 325 and 1. So let me execute this and show you our horizontal line. So as you can see, we have our first horizontal line. Let's include the second one, which I want to include over here around 225. Yeah, and the same way we can modify parameters like line style, line width, and so on. So let's do that as well. So I have copied the code from our previous chart so that I don't have to rewrite it again. Yeah, so if you want to show horizontal span like this, then that you can do using hline methods. So if you want to include vertical lines, there is a vlines method. If you want to include horizontal lines, then there is a hlines method. Alright, so let's move on to our next annotation. So the fourth and the last annotation that we will discuss in our tutorial is box annotations. The box annotations are, as the name suggests, you want to color the some box area in your chart with some particular color to highlight something, some range or something. So over here I have created Apple close price our line chart. And to explain box annotations, let's say that I want to divide the background of this chart in three different colors. So let's say for the first background box should start from here, from top to till here, and let's call it a stagnant period where the stock prices did not move much. So how can we include, or how can we modify that particular area color? So there is a method named fill underscore between x. Now this method, let us specify the area using few parameters. So first parameter is y, which I want to specify. I need to specify low and high value from where the area should start and end. So in our case it will be from 150 over here, from 150 till 350. So it's y range. And for x-axis we need to specify two parameters, x1 and x2. So x1 parameter will be date, so it will start from here, x1, so which is, let's say, 2019 41 1, and x2 will be, I want to go till here, which can be 2019 61. Let's set color to Dodger blue and see how this one looks. So as you can see, the area is now properly colored with Dodger blue. If you want to lighten the intensity, then you can call alpha parameter. Yeah, so that was the first box annotation. Now let's create a second box annotation which starts from here and goes till here to show the rise of Apple stock. So again, y-axis values will be 150 to 350. X1 will be now 2019 61 till 2020 31. Let's try 31. Let's set color to lime and see. Instead of 31, let's try 215. Okay, now this one looks better. So this is the area. We can change intensity as well, where the price of the stock has increased constantly. Let's add the third and last annotation, which is this area, which is currently white. Let's say that I want to set it to 215. I want to set it to orange color because this is the area where the price of stock fell. So it will go from 2020 to 15 from here till end of the, so end is 2024 5 4 5. So orange color is wrong over here. Yeah, so now as you can see, we are able to include box annotations in our chart. So we are able to color the background of our chart with different colors. So this was all of these were vertical annotations. Now what if you want to include annotations which are horizontal? So that we can do using a method named fill between. So in order to create a vertical, there is a fill between x, and in order to create a horizontal annotations, box annotations, there are a function named fill between. So let's go ahead and again create a chart. As you can see, now we will use method name plt fill underscore between. Over here we will specify x start and end. So in our case it will be date. Now x-axis value will be date, which will be 2019 or 1. So I am taking the date value from x limit, call over here, then date of. I am providing range as a date object because I have date values on x-axis, but you can provide based on whatever data type you have. Then I need to provide y1 and y2 values. So y1 will be, let's say I want to color the area till, let's say 220, from 150 to 220, 150 to 220, color equal to dodger blue, and alpha equal to 0.3. Okay, so let's execute and show you how it looks. So now the area is colored with dodger blue. Now let's go from here till 325. Let's say from 220 to 320. Let's say 320. Let's use orange color. Let's include the third annotation as well, which will start from 320 till 350. And let's use lime color for it. So let me execute this one and show you how it looks. Yeah, as you can see now, the background colors are colored with 3 different colors. So this was a horizontal box annotation. So here is the summary of functions that we covered in our tutorial. So we covered various methods like text, annotate, v lines, h lines, between and between x. Now if you want to learn more about annotations, then you can visit our website CoderzColumn, and over here you can simply search for, let's say, annotation, and we have plenty of tutorial on annotations for various Python libraries. But over here we have tutorial on annotations for Matplotlib, so you can go ahead and explore this tutorial. Over here we have explained all the annotations in more detail. So over here we have specified many different parameters. So if you want to rotate labels, that you can do using rotation parameters. And over here we have covered, if you have requirement to include arrows which are, let's say, curved like this one, like this one. So if you want to include arrows like this, then you can visit our this tutorial on our website. So yeah, that's it for the day. If you liked our video and if you learned something new today, then give it a thumbs up and see you next time.